In terms of incomings and outgoings, in the context of financial fair play, it's in a club's interest to make their incomings look as big as possible and to make their outgoings look as low as possible.
As a commercial concern.
Absolutely, to show that you're sustainable. The days of just loading debt on the club are gone, sadly, for some of the investors who want to come into it. Now, the issue here is that, I guess, there's a way of looking at these deals and assessing whether they're commensurate to what they'd be worth in a normal marketplace. Now, the issue is that football is almost a microclimate in terms of its economy. It's not like comparing high street store with high street store. Yes, there are other Premier League clubs that you can compare to, but the difficulty here in assessing how much punishment City are going to be handed down is going to come in how easy it is to look at the value of commercial deals in comparison to other ones.
And therein lies the story. I think there are some 100 alleged breaches, but it could be that not only are they deducted points, but they're actually kicked out of the league effectively for this season?
Well, there's no upper ceiling in terms of the Premier League's rulebook on what could happen. We're in uncharted territory. I suppose you could look at Juventus just a couple of months ago and see they were deducted 15 points. That would really harm Manchester City in the Premier League this season. If that happened, you might say, well, actually, they're not in an imperious position in the Premier League this season. Maybe they might take it as long as it didn't affect their status within Europe. You could look at the Rangers situation in Scotland with the EBT, the Employment Benefit Trust, which basically saw players paid over a number of years using a tax avoidance scheme, which meant they could earn a lot more at, say, Rangers than they could with their rivals. They were demoted 3 divisions, and they had to fight their way back in. It took them 5 years.
And Man City have got a bit of previous. UEFA originally putting a 2-year ban on them and a 25 million fine. Now, that was overturned 2020, cut to 9 million. Still the difference
here is that there is no recourse to the court for arbitration in sport. That's the issue here. So they can't really go that route. But in addition, they'll have top lawyers. They'll be able to stall the process. There's a political angle to this as well, Mark. We have a white paper going through Parliament this week. It's going to be waved through, if briefings are to be believed, which will see the onset or the creation of a football regulator. The Premier League do not want that. They need to be proving, by turning on one of their own, that they're able to keep their own house in order. It's very rare that you see the Premier League turn on one of their own the way they are now. Having said that, long-term, even though they don't want their books going through, or being gone through with a fine-tooth comb by anybody external, they don't really want to turn on their own long-term. I don't think City...
But will the Premier League have to accept what these independent commissioners come up with? And do we know who they will be? I mean, presumably, a lot of this has got to be pretty forensic examination of the books.
Yes, they will, but then City will respond in kind. This is what's got them out of problems in the past. But I don't think long-term the likes of Chelsea or Newcastle really want Manchester City dealt with in such strong terms. Chelsea, for example, just spent £300 million, close to, in the January transfer window. The problem they will be assessing, like when the EFL investigated Derby County, they couldn't even prove that their stadium, which they sold, they said they sold for £80 million. They couldn't prove that the real estate was actually worth that. I don't know how they're going to prove. They're going to prove that the Etihad deal for the naming rights, for example, is worth its true value.
And an added complication that they are effectively foreign owners of the club as well?
Not really, only in as much as City might brief that this might be an issue over xenophobia, for example. Maybe the established forces in the Premier League haven't liked their introduction over the last 14 years. But to be fair, City have always said they've complied with the rules. They said earlier on, even when I was working up there, they wanted to operate within the bounds of EFP. Sorry, FPP.
Yeah.